Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Hatchet Men Nightbreed. This is the audio podcast supplement to our regularly scheduled, if irregularly posted, video podcast, Hatchet Men, of course. I am your host with the least, Brian Salisbury. I am joined this evening by Luke the Giant Beard Mullen of FilmSchoolRejects.com.
Ooh! Hey, that's me.
And also Scott Weinberg of FEARnet and Twitch here for the, obviously we needed a horror expert and we got one.
I think we're all qualify under that, except maybe Luke.
Yeah, that's true.
He's really good looking, so that's alright.
Well, yeah. The rest of us just look like monsters. So yeah, we're sitting here and we are watching via the Netflix Watch Instantly, a very auteur film by the name of Leprechaun 5.
In the Hood.
Leprechaun in the Hood, because it's racially sensitive in all ways. And that got us to thinking and realizing that this, is it this week, next week?
Week from today.
Whenever the hell this posts, in a relatively short amount of time from that point, there will be the release of 5-0 Destination Goes West. Is that what it's called?
American Tail, yeah.
American Tail 5-0 Destination Goes West, which is, of course, the fifth installment of the unfortunate Final Destination franchise. So tonight what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of bullshit a little bit about the fifth installment of other horror franchises, what makes them good, what makes them terrible, why certain franchises decide to go to that point and beyond, and we're also going to mention some franchises that were smart enough to stop at 4. So yeah, I mean, anybody have any special affinity for any of the particular fifth installments?
Well, I know that in the annals of horrordom, Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning, is generally derided as one of the worst of the series, and I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, I was going to say it's derided because it totally deserves all of the duration.
It really,
Which one is 5 again?
Jason, New Beginning.
New Beginning.
Which was both, which is a lie.
It's the one right after, quote, Final Chapter, which is part 4 of a 10-part franchise.
Well, what's the plot of 5 again?
There is no Jason.
Spoiler!
I'm sorry. We're going to back that up a little bit. Spoiler alert. The plot is that there is no Jason, and that it's actually a camp counselor at a school, like a halfway house for teens, whose son gets murdered. He's a paramedic. Wait, what did I just say?
You said a camp counselor. No, Tommy Jarvis goes to a halfway house, and you were mostly right. The ambulance driver. It turns out some angry psycho with an axe, which I don't get why he has an axe. It kills a candy bar fatty, and then what happens is the paramedic comes to pick up the dead fatty, and we get this wonderfully subtle, on the nose, like wink to the audience, telling you that this guy is going to be the killer for some reason.
Just like the shot of the spoiler alert again. Just like the shot of the cook in Hunt for Red October.
Yeah, and so Friday 5 is
vague memories. This is not.
Friday 5 is the most porn-looking of
Jason versus Carrie.
No, that's 7.
That's New Blood. 7. That's actually not a terrible one.
No, this was this is a weird period after Final. I really think there was a conscious effort to make 4. Zito's Part 4, the final chapter, the actual final chapter.
Yeah.
And this was a really hackneyed device to bring Jason back without bringing Jason back, so they could still technically say that 4 was the final chapter.
Right, because all you need is a guy with a hockey man.
Right, but then they completely undid that. They were like, oh shit, let's go back to formula, and they brought zombie Jason back, which actually ended the redneck Jason period and started the era of the zombie Jason.
The undead Jason, correct, Mundo. And then I think I could speak safely for most Friday fans when I say that Part 6 was not only an improvement over Part 5, but it was almost like a resurgence, because it had a good sense of humor, and it kind of came back to the fun that we liked in the first couple. And it doesn't look like a glorified porno film like Part 3 and 5 did.
I'm sorry, I hate to...
There's a special place in my heart.
I hate to diverge from the conversation, but Leprechaun 5... African-American gentleman was just killed with a pick comb.
Yeah, plastic one that you get at like 99 cents.
Oh, wait, is this Leprechaun 5 or Blackula 3? I'm not sure what we're watching right now.
I'm fairly certain this is SVU because Ice-T just pulled out his gat.
Ice Cube is not for the pop charts, but Ice-T is for Leprechaun 5.
There we are. Leprechaun 5, which also stars Coolio, who...
Does anything really star Coolio?
Was a person. Well, yeah, H2O. Right?
Dracula 3000.
H2... No, that was LL Cool J.
Resurrection.
Resurrection.
Oh.
Okay,
No,
but,
that was Busta Rhymes.
wait, let's just run through the...
Wasn't Coolio in one of the
Nope.
one of the Halloweens?
No, he was not.
All right, I may have made that
Coolio
up
was in Halloween Resurrection.
No, that was Busta Rhymes, you racist bastards.
What? They're both obnoxious. That's the hell.
Dreads and shit.
I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that.
Which is the one that likes Cheetos?
I've had several cocktails right
What? What just happened? Ice-T just pulled a small baseball bat from his afro.
Yep.
Like a
It was
a good 12 to 14 inches long.
Yep.
Yeah, it was
Just like his
it was
cock.
Souvenir Bat Day
Hey,
at the
you know
Leprechaun
what?
franchise.
So I tell you what, if the Leprechaun franchise did nothing but keep Warwick Davis rich, that's good enough for me.
Oh yeah, Professor Flitwick is in fine form.
Dude, that's
here.
Willow, man. Props to Willow. You know?
Yeah. So I should have mentioned that
He's preparing for his
Nightbreed
future
is
Harry
going to
Potter.
involve a lot of drinking, at least by your illustrious host, aka me. So
possibly some herbal remedies.
and possible. So you never know. I mean, a lot of things can turn up.
Let's just run through the most basic part 5s and see which ones like actually work. Like
Okay.
like Freddy 5 would be Dream Master, correct?
No,
Dream
Dream
Child.
Child.
Dream Child, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Dream Master of course is part 4.
Rennie Harlan.
Rennie Harlan, there we go. Now there's a part 5 that's not one of the best of the series, but at least it kind of fits in with the predecessors. There's an arc between 3, 4, and 5 that kind of work.
Well, and the thing that's interesting about Part 5 in Freddy's Dominion is that it's the first of that franchise that jumps one of the proverbial sharks that all of them end up doing, which is there's one that's 3D, obviously.
Of course.
There's Go to Space,
Yeah.
which is a popular gimmick. And then there's I Want Your Baby / I Want to Be Reborn Through You,
Yeah.
which is exactly what this Part 5 is.
Yeah.
Jason does the same thing in Jason Goes to Hell.
Yep.
In Halloween, the Part 6 has a thing about the baby. And in fact, Friday the 13th is the only series that has done all 3. Because Jason X was in space,
Yep.
Part 3 was in 3D, and then 9 was the I Want Your Baby, I Want to Be Reborn Through You. So, getting back to Freddy, yeah, that's the first of those gimmicks that it went to.
Is 5 the one with the Roach Motel kill?
No, that is 4.
All right, whichever Freddy has, everybody loves that. That is a great kill. All right, and then we go to Michael 5, which would be 3 was Return, then 5 would be Revenge. Or Curse.
It's
Curse
Revenge.
was 6. Yeah.
Yeah, Curse is 6. So 6 is the Paul Rudd one. 5 is like the second half of the Daniel Harris arc.
Yeah, and wait,
Which
5 is.
I kind of like. I mean, I think 4 is slightly better, but I think Daniel Harris is great. And
Where
I
that
think
character
5 kinda
goes
works.
in 5 is interesting. That's really all I can say about 5. Other than Daniel Harris's character kind of getting darker, there's really not much I can say about Part 5. It just feels like a rehash, and it's weird that they've already started rehashing it after they just brought him back, but it feels like, a rehash of 4.
Is 5 the one that ends with her, like, taking
At the
up
top
the
of the
knife?
No,
stairs.
that's 4.
That's 4.
That's the
5
end of
ends
4.
with the crazy guy, with the mystery man coming into the...
And busting him out of jail.
Yeah.
And then that
And
leads...
I remember the ending of that film had me and my cousin just talking for weeks, like, who's that guy? We totally bought into it. And then, like, the next one comes out, like, 3.5 years later, and we're like, oh, yeah, there was some kind of cliffhanger with a guy in boots at one point.
Yeah.
But again, when you get into the 4, 5, 6 area, even for movies that we like I like a lot of the Saw movies, they all just kind of blur together at that point.
Oh, 5 is far and away the worst of the Saw films.
Are you really? Because I
am.
Why is that? Luke, why is that? Tell us, please.
Oh man, 4 was pretty bad.
Let's remind our listeners specifically. 6 was the one about healthcare irony.
Yeah, 6 is great.
Yeah, 5
personally,
was,
I think 6 is
5,
one of the
5
better.
was which?
5 is the one that's completely unremarkable in every way, shape, or form. I feel like 5 is the one that focused more on Costas Mandalore.
Which is a bad idea.
Yes,
Which
that's
is
always
never-
a bad idea.
Never a good plan.
Yeah.
4 is the one with the African American cop who's kind of being like led through the wild goose chase, which is an
And
interesting
the brain
idea.
surgeon. And the brain surgeon.
It just
no,
doesn't
that's
quite
3.
work.
Oh, goodness.
4 doesn't quite come together. It's really not good. I'm actually probably giving it more credit than it deserves.
The
but
5 was the first
5
one
just
that
falls apart.
5 was the
There's
first one that
nothing there.
Balsman didn't do.
The problem is with...
Did he do 4? Yeah, he did.
Balsman did 2, 3, and 4.
When you get past...
I like 2, and I think 3 maybe.
When you get past 3, though, the problem is, and this is a huge spoiler alert if you haven't seen this franchise, you cannot keep making Saw films without Jigsaw. That's exactly what we were talking about with Friday the 13th. When they tried to get rid of Jason, they made the worst Friday the 13th movie they could possibly make. So they had to bring him back. You cannot take a well-established villain,
Right.
a new boogeyman
Right.
like Jigsaw, kill him off and expect that franchise to keep going.
It's almost like you're trying to force normal logic into a franchise that doesn't need it. We don't care how Jigsaw survives. We didn't care how Frankenstein survived 7 movies. We didn't care how the Mummy kept coming back. We just wanted to see a mummy chase people. That's what we go for. So stop with the shoe leather of all the exposition. Stop with all the crutches you need to explain in a logical world how Jigsaw, because it's already silly. So just keep it simple. What's another franchise that we
Well, I think
we mentioned Chucky, Seed of Chucky.
Seed of Chucky is the 5th one. And here's the thing. Once we get out of the traditional tentpole slasher area, my knowledge is pretty remarkably limited in Part 5s.
Okay.
And that includes things like I haven't seen Seed of Chucky. I haven't seen Hellraiser 5.
Oh, well, there's another good example.
Puppet Master 5.
Yeah, another one, a great example, like you said, about a lot of these franchises is Hellraiser jumped more sharks than Fonzie on cocaine. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but they were satanic sharks, so they were scary.
I will stand by the assertion that not only, of course, is Hellraiser a quote-unquote modern classic, if you consider 87 modern still, I consider it like my generation's...
Was 87 the year Night of the Creeps came out?
Yeah.
Well, then, yeah, it's modern.
Yeah. For example, I don't know
why distinction, but
I don't know why.
Our grandparents grew up with their monsters, their Mummy sequels and their Frankenstein sequels that they fell in love with, and then we have our same monsters, which, maybe the movies are a little gorier and perhaps a little stupider, but they're no less valid as monsters, and I kind of feel bad for my parents because they didn't really, my grandparents did, but my parents didn't have these series where you could keep coming back to the monsters and enjoying them every time. Seed of Chucky is the second one where Don Mancini decided that he was going to go broader and sillier. I much prefer Part 4, Bride of Chucky, but they're both pretty unique movies, and I respect the tongue-in-cheek, guignol kind of silliness of the Chucky
The one thing
movies.
I will say, the few scenes that I've seen of both Bride and Seed of Chucky, if nothing else, I got to admire the practical effects in those movies.
Oh, hell yes. Absolutely.
I have no idea.
It was Hellraiser. I'm sorry. We were talking about Hellraiser, and you're right. Absolutely. The Chucky effects, the doll effects are really great. Just to see tactile animatronic stuff on the screen. Even if your brain says, oh, look at that fake doll, your eyes are still looking at something that the light bounces off of. It's a doll. It's like, it's my theory on Yoda. The first time you see Yoda, you're like, that's a Muppet. How silly. And then the second and third time you see him, he's a character in the Star Wars universe. Okay? He might be rubber, but you've already bought into Star Wars. So he's a rubber puppet that you buy. But with CG, every new scene he shows up in, you're reminded he's CG.
And then the 5th time he wants your baby / he wants to be reborn.
Yes, exactly. So practical effects. That's why horror fans like practical effects, because even in silly shit, Chucky and his bride should look real. They should look like real dolls in the universe of that film.
If you buy into everything else in that world,
but
then
no,
you should.
I stand by the assertion that the first 3 Hellraisers work as a very interesting trilogy. I like the third one. I don't love it. But from that point on, I don't know if it was directly the Weinsteins, but between 4, 5, 6, that thing became like the Red Shoe Diaries of horror. Just unwatchable. Like
Taxi Cab Confessions.
Yes, exactly. Just not even just sleazy, sexy, just low rent, grungy, grainy product you churn out because it makes a product to put on the shelf.